Okay, so what we're gonna do today is we're gonna configure the network interface card. Okay, if I do, okay, so last week we saw how to do the recovery of the root password, right? Today we'll work on configuring the network interface card. Okay, 03 2020. Okay, so when I talk about the network interface card, you know, when you plug in the direct cable on the back of your computer, that's what is called network interface card. Okay, so let's take a look at the picture. Okay, so this is like a network card here. You would have a network card, and in the back of the network card you see there are two ports. There are two ports where you could plug in the network cable. Okay, so this is a perfect example. Most of the time the servers you work on would have two network port. If it's a physical server, it will have a two network port, and if it's a virtual server, it will have a two network port also. So I'm sure everybody have seen this network port, right? I mean, or on the back of the computer, if you go on the back of like your regular desktop computer or whatever. Let's see if if I find a picture. I'm gonna put a network port. Okay, so over here it's kind of showing you the network port on a laptop, and you have a network port on, you all got the idea here what I'm talking about. Network port on desktop. Yeah, you see how the port is there, where you could plug in the physical network cable. Okay, so similarly, we don't have to worry about that. What we are dealing with is we are dealing with virtual one. So on this system here, let me take a look here how it looks like. So let me launch this here. And if you go into settings here, and if you go into network, so in network, what I have here is, uh, adapter 1. Okay, in reality, you would have only two adapters, adapter 1 and adapter 2. Network interface card, that what means adapter. And so, but in this scenario here, I have 4. The reason being is I just need to configure this as a 4 network adapters. So how do you look at how the network adapters are? So what you do is, the command is ifconfig if config pipe grep enp. Okay, and hit enter. All right, so on this system here, the one I'm connected, this one has only 3: ENP-S03, ENP-S08, ENP-S09. Okay, so that's it's showing 3 here. So let me switch to root. Okay, so I already have a picture here. Let me put a picture. Copy image. All right, so adapter 1 is ENP0S3, and this is what it's looking like here, ENP0S3, and ENP0S8 is adapter 2, adapter 3 would be ENP0S9, okay, and then 10 would be, if we have another adapter here, it would be ENP0S10. Okay, that is how the adapter would be listed into the Linux system here. Okay, so now let's look at adapter 3 information. Let me clear the screen. I'm going to type if config ifconfig and then adapter 3, and I hit enter here. So what I'm getting here is I'm getting some information here. So the very first one, ENP0S3 is the name of an adapter. Okay, so we are worried about this information here. Okay, the second thing we are worried about is, okay, so the IP address is not showing here. So give me 1 second here. Okay. So I have ENP0S9. Okay, so name of the adapter in this case is ENP0S9. And INET is the IP address. Okay, so this is the IP address I connect from the other system to get inside this system. Okay, and other piece of information you need is a network mask 255.255.255.0. This will always remain the same no matter what. And you have another IP address here is called broadcast address. So the last digit number would be 255 here no matter what. This part might change if it's like 10.20.1, and then this part will always be 255 for the broadcast address. Okay, and there is a lot more information here. The only other thing we are worried about is this information here, ether information. So what is this? This is a information regarding MAC address. MAC address means the address physically which is burnt on to the hardware adapter itself. Okay. All right, I'm gonna give a pause here. Any questions? You guys are following me, right? Or please let me know what is going on. If you need if you need me to stop, I will stop right here and explain you everything here. So there's a lot going on over here. The only information you're worried about is this part here, the adapter information, the IP address. Okay, so this part is informational here, and this part is informational. You don't barely use this, and you barely use this part also. So the real important part you always use is ENP0S9 or whatever the adapter name you're dealing with and the IP address. Okay. So now remember how I said earlier that when you go into network adapters, in reality there are only two adapters, adapter 1 and adapter 2. There won't be adapter 3 and 4. The reason I have 3 and 4 is just for this class purpose, okay, so that you could navigate back and forth using the IP address, okay, but only concentrate on adapter 1 and adapter 2. Okay, so let me put a note here. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to clear the screen and I'm going to do if config, ifconfig, and hit enter. Okay, so what do we have here is we have three adapter, ENP0S3, ENP0S8, and ENP0S9. And if you look closely here, ENP09 is the only one that has the IP address. And if you look closely here, there is no IP address here. There is no IP address here, okay? So I'm going to just copy this part. So we have ENP0S3 and ENP0S8. So now, where are these adapters being saved? The information regarding this adapter, the configuration file regarding this adapter is sitting in the etc folder. Okay, let me clear the screen. I'll tell you where this is at. You're gonna have to go to cd/etc/sysconfig, okay, and network script. This is the directory where the files will be sitting, the configuration file will be sitting in. Okay, and let me do pwd here. Okay, so I'm gonna do ls here. Okay, so what do I have here is I have a lot of information here. I have if config enp0s3 and if config enp0s9. Okay, so s10 is showing up here. Okay, so I'm not sure why s10 is showing up here. If you do if config, we only have 3 systems here, right? 3 adapters: ENP0S3, ENP0S8, and ENP0S9. So what we're gonna do is we will bring this ENP0S3 online. Okay, right now this IP address doesn't have I'm sorry, this network adapter doesn't have the IP address. Are you guys still with me? Hello? You guys
Yes,
could
sir.
hear me, right? Okay. Yeah, I just want to make sure you guys are hearing me because it's like dead silent. All right, so let's continue. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put a note here. I'm gonna say configure ENP0S3. Okay. If I do ls here, so if you look closely, the file we're gonna deal with is, if you're configuring the ENP0S3, which file we're gonna mess with? Which file we're gonna deal with? Okay, we're gonna have to mess with this file here. Okay, because the way the Linux operating system write is ifconfig. IFCFG stands for ifconfig. Okay, that means IP address configuration for this adapter here. So let's go into this file and take a look what is going on in there. I'm going to say vi and name of the file, and I'll hit enter. And there is a lot of information sitting in here. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of some information here. You really don't need it. In real world scenario, I'm working on this every day. You really don't need the things you don't need here. So I'm going to delete some lines in here. These are for more advanced stuff that you really don't need. Okay, so what you need in the file information is type, and you are telling this configuration file that type is Ethernet. Okay, and boot protocol, that means the protocol it's using to connect to the system here is DHCP, Dynamic Host Control Protocol. And name means obviously this is the name of the device. Name of the configuration file, and device name is also the same thing. And here you see onboard equals no. Can anybody try to take a guess what onboards equal no means?
Okay. No network.
No network
connectivity.
Yeah, network. That's fine. There is no IP address. Earlier we saw there is no IP address. So if I'm going to do is yes here. Okay, I'm going to save and exit. And let me do the same thing here. Bring this line back here. If config enp0s3. Okay, if you look closely here, there is no IP address, okay? When you ran this here, there is no IP address here, okay? So what we are working on this is, we are working on to enable the IP address. Alright, so what we did was we entered the file and we did some configuration changes. Okay, we saved and exit. Now what we're going to do is we're going to restart the service so that the changes will take effect. Alright, so what I'm going to do is systemctl restart network manager. Okay, this is the command to restart it, and I'll hit enter. Alright, the system is going to go and think for a few seconds and come back. And then I'm going to go up here. I'm going to do if config enp0s3 and hit enter. Voila. Now I have the IP address. You see 192.168.56.101. But if you look earlier here, so these two lines were missing. If you look closely here, we had flag line, and then it went to ether line. So there is two more line information was created between these two lines. Okay, now you have a working IP address here, 192.168.56.101, and network mask is this here. So this system IP address is online now.
Question.
Yeah.
Do we have to know about the network mask and the broadcast? What are those?
No, those things you don't really, you don't really need to know that. What it is just the IP address. Most of the time, IP address and the network card, and the IP address and the host name will be static. Next, I'm going to show you how to keep the IP address of a system that will never change. Okay, so when we have a DHCP, that means the system will change. The IP address is possible. The IP address of the system will change. Okay, so that would be a big problem in the corporate environment. You know, the IP address of all of a sudden the IP address of the system changes. What normally happens is the reason the IP address doesn't change is because some of the applications, you know how the application work, right? I mean, those are interdependent. Let me just put down here application. Architectural diagram. So normally what you have is like this one looks much simpler here. Okay, so if you look here, there is a user here, there is a system, and one system is connecting to the server here, and it's just another system is connecting to database and the file system and all that. So when you're connecting, if the application is working, that doesn't mean all the information is just connecting to one system. It's moving around back and forth on the several systems here. And for that to happen, it will need the IP address. And the developers will put this into their code. They will hard code the IP address in the system, and then it will work here. So if the IP address all of a sudden change, the application will break. So it's a big deal. So let me explain this here. DHCP will assign random IP address by router, okay, and not allowed at work. This is something the DHCP protocol is not used. And then this part here is so you should have yes. Yes must be on for the system to grab IP address. Okay, and default is no. Why is it? Can somebody think why the default is no? Because
there will be no conflict if.
Yeah, very good. if you're building the server just now, and if it already tried to grab another IP address from the existing server, then it's going to give a lot of problem. So that is not desirable. So now what we have is we have ENP0S3, and it has this IP address 192.168.56.101. Okay. If I get out of here and if I try to ping it here from the master server, let me try to ping it from the master server. It should work. See, it's working from the master servers, and I could even SSH into it. SSH, and then, okay, remember earlier the IP address I used is this one here, right? 10.1.10.110, which is already also there, which is already being used by a different adapter. It's being used by this adapter here. Now we're going to connect using this adapter. Yes. There you go. I'm connected to this system using a different IP address. Okay, why?
Question.
Yeah.
So it's mean we move from .10 to .101 from one server to different server?
No, we didn't move. I mean, the same server has two IP addresses now.
Oh, okay, because of the two network IDs.
Very good. Very good. You got the point.
Another question.
Yes.
You said that DHCP makes changes the IP address, so we need to make a static. Did I miss that?
No, I'm going to show you right now. It's the next step.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. All right. So you get out of there, and you have this IP address. Omara? Okay. All right, give me one moment here, guys.
You need anything?
I need the food. The whole. You and Mama go?
Yeah.
How did I know that? Hello.
Yeah.
Close the room.
Can you set up Apple Pay on my phone?
Yeah.
Like for what's that thing called? For illegal.
Yeah. Okay, I'm back here. Sorry. All right. So now let's configure the static IP address. Okay. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back here, VI, and I'm going to edit the associated file. I'm going to edit the associated file with this network card. And what I need is, I need the little bit more information here, okay? So, over here, the first thing I'm going to change is type is going to leave is as is, and then the protocol. Now you're telling the system to use the protocol static. All right, and the device name is this, and on boot, yes, we need the system to be on boot, and I'm going to do HWADDR hardware address ADDR equals, I'm going to leave that blank for now. I'm going to say IP ADDR equals, and I'm going to say net mask equals. Okay, now I need these three information here: hardware, IP address, and this here. So what I'm going to do is, I need this address here, hardware address here. So earlier I told you MAC address is the hardware address. See, I say MAC address, this is the hardware address here. So I'll go back in my information here and I'll grab this information here. Okay, this is the hardware address. All right, and other piece of information I need is net mask. So if you look at the diagram here, net mask is always 255.255.255.0. Okay, so I'm going to say 255.255.255.0. Okay, and the IP address is, now normally how is the IP address decided here? So when you're working in a project, you have to, each system will have a predefined IP address assigned into the routers and all that. Okay, this information is not random. When you're working in the, when all these servers are being created, you work with the network team and they will give you the IP address, and you'll just grab that IP address and plug it in here. So the IP address I'll be using this is, it has to be in the same range, 192.168.56, and the end part is going to be anywhere between 0 to 255. See, the last one is already been taken, 255. So I'm going to go with 250. 192. Uh-oh. One 192.168. I'm going to keep everything same. 156. I'm going to say 250. Okay, so now I'm kind of physically assigning the IP address here. All right, I'm going to escape out of this.
Question, sir.
Yeah.
You took 250, so based on what we have to take this number, because what if this number using by some other users?
So here's the thing here. So you have to work with the network team and they will give you the IP address, and they will check before you assign, they will give you the address, network team. Okay, use this address for this server here. Okay, and then
Oh, okay. So the 250 is given by network team,
yeah,
not us.
yeah. You'll give the host name, you'll give the computer name, and you say, okay, for this, use this IP address. They'll come back and tell you, for this server, use this IP address, and they will put it in their system.
Okay.
And one other thing you could do is ping 192.168.56.250. You could ping to and hit enter. So it's not pinging. You could do, it says here destination, the ping is failing, right? Destination host is unreachable.
Yes.
Do you agree on that? Okay, good. So that is one test you could do on your own before you assign it, okay?
Okay.
Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to restart the network. I'm going to clear the screen. And I'm going to say system CTL restart network. Let me bring it down a little bit here so you guys could see. System CTL restart network manager. Okay, now let's take a look here. If config enp0s3 and okay, so it's still 101 is still there. So why 101 is still there? So let's go back and take a look. Okay, so the hardware address and everything is there. Okay, so all right, let me try running a different command and see if it's going to take that. System CTL restart network. I'm going to say network dot service. Okay, if you run into something like this, then what you do is just restart the system and see what happens. And you could definitely restart the system. This is early on. You're still building the server, okay? You're not building, you're not doing, the system is not being used by anybody yet. You're still building it. So you could definitely restart the system. Okay, so the system is up. And let me run this command here. Okay, now it's showing up as 250. Okay. So
Question.
I'm sorry, what?
Question?
Yeah,
Why it didn't show the first time when you run the command?
it's possible. Remember, I connected from using that IP address from the other putty session. It may be stuck
Okay.
in there. It's possible.
Okay. Okay.
So when I did this, it cleared everything and assigned the IP address.
Okay.
So let me explain this to you what this is. So here, this part is static protocol. Okay. IP will not change. Okay. And this part is adapter name. You already know. Okay, and this part is um, device name.
Device name or the MAC address, right?
No, that's not the MAC address.
Okay.
And um, so enable IP address. Enable IP address assignment. Okay, let's do that. Now this is the MAC address. Hardware or MAC address is a or MAC address. And here manually assigned IP address. Okay, this is static. Static means it will not change. And this one is a default net mask. I never seen a different net mask in my life other than 255.255.255.0. Okay, it's going to be guaranteed almost all the time. It's going to be the same exact thing. Even in working on a live systems at work. All right, so that's how you do. That's how you assign the IP address, your static IP address. Okay, but it has to be within the range. Within the range of 0 to 255. So 0 is taken and 255 is taken, okay? And the only ones you would have left is anything between 1 2 IP address 1 2 actually one is already why is my screen jumping? One is already taken, so 2 to 254. Okay, so you have a flexibility of using this many IP addresses. So if you have like a single router, in fact your home routers are capable of handling up to 255 devices. Can you believe that? Your regular home routers, they could assign up to 255 devices. If you have like 255 computers, you should be able to connect all of them to one single router. Like if you do IP config on your system here, IP config, and right now my IP address is 10.0.0.92, and this is the router name. This is the router which is giving me out this IP address. So this is my Comcast, and this is the IP address for my system here. Okay, so next thing we're gonna learn is network bonding, NIC bonding. Okay, so what is NIC bonding? NIC bonding is, let me put a picture here. Okay, so if you do if config, so we have ENP0S3 and ENP0S8. Okay, in reality these two will exist, number 9 will not exist. So what we're gonna do is what is NIC bonding is, you have two this is a server, ZMPT01, Zafar at ZMPT01. This is the server, okay? And then we have two physical network adapters, ENP0S3 and ENP0S8. And what is happening here is one cable is going into different switch or different router, different network, and one cable is going into different router. Okay, this is how it's in reality. The network, the reason it is done is it's called network redundancy. So when you have this, just imagine, what if the network goes down? Do you want your servers to be going down? No, right? It's a bad idea. You never want, you always want to have some level of backup happening for your system here. If one system goes down, the another will be up there. Okay, so that is the same thing here. If the network goes down, if the switch 0 goes down, switch 1 will take it over, and the server will still be up and running. Does it make sense? If one road is blocked, you could try to take another road to your destination. That's how it is. All right, so let's configure this. What time is this now? Okay, let's take a break and we'll come back. We'll come back noon Chicago time, and then we'll continue. All right, break starts now. Okay, I'm back here. So let me get started. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take two Ethernet adapters. We're gonna bond it together and make it one IP address. Okay. Then what will happen is if one goes down, the network traffic is going to stay from the other side, but the IP address will remain the same. The IP address will not change. Okay, so what we're going to do is, all right, so we're going to have to configure. So now, configure ENP0S3 and ENP0S8 for bonding. Bonding means we're bonding it together. That's all it is. So what I'm going to do is I have this here and ENP0S8. ENP0S8 is just sitting there and getting wasted. Nothing is happening with it, okay? And let's do ENP0S3. S3 is being used now. S3 is being used as a 250. Okay. All right. So let's see how this is going to work here. So we'll go back to the network interface configuration folder. CD etc sysconfig network script. Okay, I'll do ls here. Okay, over here we have ENP0S10. Well, I don't know why it's showing up here, so I'm going to remove that. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to configure this IFCFG ENP0S3 first. I'll hit enter. Now I have to make some changes here. Okay, so what I need here is type equal Ethernet. I don't need that information here. Okay. And what I have here is device equals ENP0S3. Okay. And the next item I need is on boot equals yes. And boot proto, I'll put the boot proto as none here. It's not going to be static. It's not going to be So boot proto will not be a static or a dynamic DHCP. Okay, here I'm going to add a line here. Also, I don't need this here, name. So I have boot proto device on boot. And then I'm adding a new line here. I'm going to say slave. Is this going to be a slave? Yes. This network adapter is going to be working as a secondary for bound 0. Okay, bound 0 doesn't exist yet, but we're going to create one. And who is the master? We are telling the system master is bound 0. And we don't need all this information here. All right, that's all we need. We save and exit. Okay. Now, if you do ls here, ENP0S3 is not there. I'm sorry, ENP0S3 is there, S8 is not there, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy the same exact information from S3 and then paste in S8. So what is the command to redirect the content to a different file? You could cat and then you could do redirect to another file here. So if the file doesn't exist, it will create one for you. So now we have ENP0S8. I'm going to go in that file and I'm going to edit this, and the only thing I need to do is just change it 3 to 8. So now I have two different files here. Okay, and this part here, you're gonna save this and network scripts. So we're gonna deal with these two files here. Create the config file for ENP0S8. Okay, I'm going to save this. Now what we need to do is, we are done with ENP0S3 and we are done with ENP0S8. Now what we need to do is we need to create bound 0. Okay. Now we are here so far. So configure bound 0. So bound 0 doesn't exist, right? If something doesn't exist, what you do is you could do vi bound 0. When you save and exit, it will create one for you. Alright, so in here, so let me copy almost this part here. Alright, so what I need is device Okay, so the very first thing is device. I'm going to give it a name bound 0. Okay. And now there is a type, type. This is going to be bond, bond. Okay, that means it's bonding. And I need on boot, yes. Boot protocol, I need static. Okay, and I don't need these two lines here. And I'm going to do IP ADDR. Alright, which IP should I use? Between 0, between 1 to 255. 255 is taken, so what IP should I take?
254.
2.168.56. You want 254 or like 150? I was thinking of 150 right in the middle.
Either, yeah, either one.
Okay, and net mask. What did I tell you about net mask? It will never change.
255, 255, 255.0.
That's 0. Very good. Okay, that's it. So let me save and exit. Oh, actually it's not supposed to be bound 0. It's supposed to be ifcfg-bound 0. So what is the command to do? Rename the file. Move. Bound 0. Okay, now what we need to do is there is one more extra step here. You need to create a configuration file for bonding. Bonding.conf. So what we're going to do is we're going to go in here, cd /etc/mod probe. Okay, I'm going to go into this folder here, pwd, and then I'm going to go in here and create a file name, bonding.conf. Bonding.configuration. Conf stands for configuration. And in here, I'm going to say alias bond 0. I'm going to say bonding. All right, let me save and exit. Let me cat bonding.conf. All right, let me copy this part here. All right, guys, there is one more advantage if you know how to, the way I'm putting document together. Get in a habit of putting like document together, you know, this is really gonna be helpful at your work. Okay, so let me save this. And I'm going to do now this is activating the bonding. Activating bonding. Okay, so what is the command? Mod probe bonding. Okay, so we started the bonding and now we need to see if the bonding is working or not. We'll do ls mod and we're going to grep for bonding. And there you go. We have bonding working on the system here. Verify if the bonding is working. Okay. Now, let me clear this. Let me go back here. I'm going to say if config. All right. So we'll just concentrate on. So when you look at it here, we have this information here. We have ENP0S3, ENP0S8, and then ENP0S9. So most of the time you don't have to deal with the ENP0S9, okay? And these are the other ones loop back. You don't have to worry about in real world scenario, okay? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to restart the network and see if it's going to work. Systemctl restart network manager. Okay, it took few seconds and it came back. I'm going to do ifconfig and hit enter. And let's see here. Okay, look at this here. We have bond 0, 192.168.56. 150 and it is working. So what we did was we provided 150 here, right? This is the IP address for bond 0. This is a bond 0 IP address. Okay. Now, so what is happening here? So if you look closely here, you see there is no IP address for ENP0S8 and there is no IP address for excuse me. There is no IP address for ENP0S3. Okay. So now what is happening here is bond 0 is dependent on both bonds here. ENP0S3, I'm sorry, network card, ENP0S3 and ENP0S8. If ENP0S3 goes out, bond 0 will still stand. Why? Because it's going to use the configuration from here. If 8 goes down, it will start using the configuration from 3. If both goes down, then you don't have a good network system in your company, okay? But I never seen two network cards or the IP address going out for a system here, okay? If that is happening, then you have to get involved the network team. All right, any questions now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you said there is no IP address in S3, I mean 0S3, but there is an IP address that .250, right?
Yeah, that is true. Let me restart this one more time. All right, let's see here. Okay, so it is coming up here. So let me restart. Let me restart the system and see if it's going to stay there or it's going to be gone. Ideally, it should be gone, but let's try to ping it and see if it's pingable. Okay, so it is pingable here. So this is kind of stuck here. So what I'm going to do is let me bring the network card down and bring it back up and see what's going to happen.
Okay.
Okay, so let me bring it down here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run this command. Clear. I'm going to say if config, and I'm going to say the configuration network adapter. I'm going to say down. Okay. And then I'm going to say if config. Okay, if you notice, ENP0S3 is gone. Okay. Let me bring it back up. I'm going to say up. And let's see if config. Okay, so this is still coming back up here, which is not good. All right, let me try the
So,
other
so
one.
that's the IP configure server down and up is the command.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now it's not bringing on the server; it's bringing down um, the IP address, the interface card. That's all it is doing. It's
Okay.
not the server
Not
itself.
the server.
Yeah.
Only the network card.
Network card, yeah. Let me do up here.
Yeah, because that was my next question. That if the server down, so that everything goes messed up.
Yeah, everything is messed up now. So no, you don't have to do it. So now I think what we should do is we should just physically restart the server. Okay, in normal situation, you shouldn't be starting it where you're still in a configuration mode. You could do it whatever you want with the server. All right, it must be on by now. Okay. And let me do if config. And let me go back up here. Okay. So ENP0 S3, it does not have any IP address anymore.
Yeah, it's good now, right?
Yeah. All right, any questions? So over here, if you look closely, over here it says master and here it says slave and slave. All right.
One master, two slaves.
Correct, correct. So if any of one of them goes down, then the other one will pick up.
A little confusion is still something. Maybe I missed something. That you said that we have a two network card, right?
Yeah.
So one masters, two slaves. So you add one slave in the second network.
So this one is a physical, this one is physical, this is virtual here. So both network cards are slave now to the virtual one we created, bond 0.
Okay.
And bond 0 is the boss now.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Let me put that in here. And we have a working network card. All right, any questions? Okay, so no questions means let me see what else I have up my sleeve. I think the class is over today. I have one more topic, and and give me 1 second here. Okay. So let me cover this one more topic and then let me make sure I covered everything. LVM and all that. Okay. So now let's talk about the run levels. So run level is, what is run level? Run level is a operating state, the state the system is in. Anybody remember safe mode in Windows environment? Okay, nobody.
Which mode?
Safe mode.
Yes, where you go and do the configuration, or if the system messed up, so you can correct from the safe mode.
Very good.
And you're not going to lose anything.
Correct, very good. So what is happening here is we have the run levels. So in the Linux environment, we have, so let me go to the local system here so that you could see it better here. Let me turn this on. I'm 37.41. Okay, so I'm going to keep this side by side. So what's going to happen here is if you want to see what run level the system is running in, most of the time it runs in the default run level, right? If you do type who-r, it will give you run level 3. So what is a run level? Run level of the Linux operating state or stage. Okay, so we do who-r, it will tell you run level. That's gonna give you a date stamp, so we're not interested in that. So it's giving you run level 3. Okay, so in a Linux environment, there are 7 run levels here. Let me copy that for you. So Linux has Linux system has 7 run levels. Okay, so I already have it for you guys. Okay, so run level 0. Run level 0 means system is in shutdown mode, and run level 6 means system is in reboot mode. So if I do init 0, don't ever do this here. This will shut the system down. If you see on the left side of your screen, the system is going down. Okay, so it's, even for a development box, don't shut it down the system. It's a very bad idea. Do the reboot, okay? And now I'm physically restarting the system. So in your environment, a system being down is a very bad thing. If you get a ticket that says that the system is down, work on this, work on that system right away, no matter what. Because if it's a production system, the company may be losing millions of dollars a minute. You know, if you be working for Amazon or some big client, they be using like $1 million a minute. I'm not kidding. Okay, so the system is up. So I'm going to connect. By the way, the connection also disconnects. Okay, obviously. I'm going to say root. I'm going to go back in there, put my password. Okay, clear the screen. So now if I do who-r, it's into the run level 3. Okay, that's a default run level. Okay, on the bottom it says run level 6. That means it's a reboot. So if I do init 6, init 6, and hit enter, the system restarts and the network connection is going to be disconnected. So the commands are over on this right side here, okay? So the system is coming back up.
So when you do the level 6, so the all network connection will lose. So which means you don't have any connectivity with other servers or whatever the systems.
Yeah, the system is rebooting. That means it's disconnecting everything, and it's in its own world, you know, restarting on its own terms.
So then you have to configure the network connections again?
No. Whatever the connection it has, it will preserve that.
Okay.
I'm sorry, no, not the connection, the configuration. The connection will be gone though. See, if you see on the screen, the connection is disconnected, so you have to reconnect again.
Right. So by default, because we have the configuration files there, so it's going to connect automatically?
The configuration file will be there. The way you configured it will be there. It won't go anywhere.
But do
the
they
connection will not connect automatically. No. You have to initiate the connection again from the PuTTY.
Okay. So what if you have so many connections, so you have to do manually again and again?
Those are bad things here. It depends. If the server is connecting automatically with the service account, then you don't have to worry about it. If it's you're connecting it manually, then you do.
Okay.
If one server is talking to another server automatically, then it will continue on doing it. It will continue on pinging it, okay?
Okay. So in practice, which one is the best? Do the setup, do the setting that automatically connect or manually?
Automatic.
Okay.
So the things you're doing during the configuration of the server is all manual here, because you're still building it. It's called build stage. You know, you're building the server from the scratch.
Right.
Yeah, so that's what you're doing there. And that's how you built on. And then once the configuration part is ready, you give it to other teams. Like for database team, they need the server for database. They give it to them. See, from the time you start building the server and by the time it goes into production, it's going to be 6 to 8 months. Okay, there is a lot of things going on. There's a lot of things going on between you, network team, the storage team. They have a database application. A lot of things are happening. But in all, you are the king here. Because why are you king? Because you got a root access. Everybody comes to you. All right. So you are the first person to build the servers, and you are the last person to remove the servers from the environment. If it's a decom, the server is getting decommissioned, you are the one who would do that. And you are the one who would build it.
Okay.
Okay, so the next one is init1. So this is the rescue emergency mode. Okay, in this mode you could run init here, but it will go blank and come back up, but there is no network connection here. Okay, so let me do that. Init1 and hit enter. All right, so now what is happening here is the system went into the emergency mode. Remember when we were breaking into the password, it will ask, it came up something like this here. So this is the emergency mode. I'm going to give the password Red Hat. And if I do who-r, and it says this is a so this is run level 1. The last run level was 3. Okay, right now you are in run level 1 and this is the last run level. So if you want to do some kind of maintenance, things like that, you could do it in here. Okay, so let's see here. Alright, so what will happen is in this environment, it will preserve the existing connection. But if you try to connect again, it will not do that. Okay, so I already have a copy here, so let me put copy and paste. Alright, so it goes in here and run level 3. Alright, so the new connection is not allowed. Okay. Now the next thing is, if I do run level 3, I'm sorry, not run level 3, init 3. Okay, you just saw on the right side it changed the run level here. So who-r run level is 3. Okay, so this run level will preserve existing connection but will not allow new connection. Okay, good. And run level 3 is what? Run level 1. So run level 2 is not used here, but it's the same as run level 3, but NFS, network file share here. So this one I'm not able to demonstrate here. Most of the time it's not even used at all. In my current environment, nobody is using that run level 2. Okay, so is run level 4. Nobody is using run level 4. And run level 3, we've been in run level 3 all along. All this throughout the class, you've been in run level 3. And this is called a multi-user mode. Multi-user mode means many people can connect at the same time. So if I'm in run level 1 and I restart the system, what mode do you think the system will go into? Anybody?
Level 3.
Run level 3, very good. Because that is what the system is configured to. When it reboots, it goes back into its default. To check what is the default, the default is multi-user target. That means run level 3. And there is run level 5 also. 4 is not used. 5 is graphical mode. Run level 5 is GUI mode. So realistically speaking, there is you could have that GUI mode in there, but nobody is using GUI mode either. But I think I should show you. It may not go into GUI mode now because the GUI mode is not installed. Okay, so let me see if it's installed or not. Okay, there you go. The system came up into the GUI mode. And you could let me take a screenshot of this here. Okay, so once you get into the GUI mode, you could like actually log in. I'm gonna log in here and I'm gonna say root and I'm gonna put in my secret password, Red Hat. Okay, there you have it. Unlike Windows, it's totally different. The GUI mode. You have some. Okay, so let's do this. So you have your good old terminal here. You could use the terminal to connect to other systems here from here. Honestly, I really hate this and never go in using the system in the GUI mode. Never.
Reason?
You don't need to. I mean, just look around. How terrible is it? If you want to go find a file, you have to like go into this file explorer and you have to choose, oh, this thing is coming out. Why is this coming out? Okay.
Question.
And then documents and all that here. So I would guarantee almost 99.99% you will never go into GUI mode. It's just there for some reason. I don't know why they have all that in there, but it's there. Yeah, go ahead.
Is it secure like the other system? The Linux system. Is it secure like that?
Yeah, without GUI interface, Linux system is much more secure.
Okay.
Yeah.